Are you ready to stop searching outside yourself and deepen the connection that matters the most?
Welcome to the Sacred Exchange podcast. We are your hosts, John and Catherine Graham.
After years of navigating our own spiritual paths, we have learned that true transformation doesn't happen overnight. It happens in the honest and vulnerable moments when we are willing to journey within with a curious mind and heart.
Every week, we invite you to journey with us as we share our spiritual ahas, our raw truth, and deepen our understanding of the human experience.
This is a space of vulnerability and healing, where souls meet, hearts transform, and love leads the way. Hello, everybody, and welcome to another episode of the Sacred Exchange, where this week we're going to be having a discussion on distraction and what that looks like in our lives.
Yeah. And I think maybe more clearly, it's distraction from purpose, right? Distraction. Yes. I mean, there's plenty of distractions in this world, but we're really talking about a deeper distraction from, your purpose or what you feel your purpose is, or
yes.
And whatnot.
Yes.
Yeah. So.
Yes. In my little word nerd brain last night, started thinking about the word distraction and really wondering, what does that word mean? Because in my mind, I was looking at it like, is it a distraction because it pulls you away from whatever momentum you're in? So a not traction, right, to break that momentum. But when I actually looked up the etymology of it, it was a pulling apart or dragging apart was initially what distraction meant. And now we see that as a distraction within our brains, a pulling apart from our focus onto something else. Mm-hmm. And I honestly think a lot of times our distraction, especially when it comes to living our purpose and following through on what it is that we are saying we want to do, distraction is almost an easy way for our fear to take over, so that we don't have to actually step into that purpose.
I agree. I think, it's very interesting because you get focused on, okay, this is my purpose or whatever task you're doing. And it is very easy you get sidetracked, right? I mean, this world is really set up.
Yeah.
Like with a lot of distractions.
Yes. And
we were talking about this kind of last night, where it's like your mind really needs to be entertained. Yes. Your ego really needs to be entertained. And for you to stay focused, you need to remove all of that entertainment.
Yes.
Right? So you need to kind of do nothing but try to... And I struggle with this with meditation too, where it's like, okay, when you meditate, you're supposed to do nothing, right? Do nothing. But what I end up doing is focusing on doing nothing, which then entertains my mind to try to focus on doing nothing.
Got you. Yeah.
So it's like, there's so many distractions. And just like I was just giving you an example of just meditation, where it's like, this is just that little thing.
Yeah.
But... So, I mean, I really think we need to look at how you minimize those distractions. And, I don't think we can fully remove those distractions, but...
I think just even having the awareness of, I get distracted easily by, say, this drama, right? And every time I'm, say, working towards a goal, and this drama comes up, then I stop working on the goal because I'm distracted by this drama. To just have an awareness of, right, I'm going to want to invest all of my energy over here if this drama comes up. And then really asking myself when the drama is not up, is this serving what my future goal is? Mm. Right? Is this the purpose that I'm really working towards? And sometimes it does feel like, right? So if my goal is I want to help 1 million people, and then I've got one person that's going, over here, I've got all this drama. Is that me, moving towards that goal? Mm-hmm. So I get a little confused sometimes as to, is this serving the goal in some way, or is this a distraction? But what I find is my energy will actually drop when I'm invested in something that's not actually aligned with what my goal is or what my purpose is.
Yeah. I've experienced very similar things as well, where it's like, if I'm focused on some goal or whatever purpose-driven task or thing, and something from like, I don't know, whatever left field comes up, and it's pulling me away, and I start getting invested in that more so than what this is, then yeah, I very much see like that is the distraction. It's not adding to the purpose or the experience.
Yeah.
It's like trying to pull me away from that.
Yeah.
But then I question the same thing. Is that part, like, is that distraction required as part of the experience, or do I need to fight that distraction?
Yes. I go through that query so often where, and really it's asking myself, like, when I am wanting to step into the distraction, what is it that I'm hoping to get out of that? Right? Like, what is the desire? And if it's like, oh, I just want to stop all their problems, well, that's just an ego complex that's coming in, and it's not going to be helpful. Most likely they don't want me to solve their problems because it's not actually my responsibility to do that, right? But can I offer support? I could do that. But if my support starts to come from a place where I'm feeling depleted by trying to offer support, then it's like I can see this is not actually a part of my purpose.
Yeah. And I think with some of the distractions, you get kind of pulled back into a different place, like different. You get sucked back in time to acting a way you used to act.
Yeah.
And it's like, then absolutely know that, okay, no, I need to separate from this, or just sit with it for a moment and go, okay,
yeah,
this is not, this is not something I need, or I need to, it's here in my purview again, but why?
Yeah.
And not approach it the same way you approached it in the past.
Yeah. But it's interesting too, because it really took a lot of unlearning for me when it came to like me focusing on a goal or focusing on a purpose, and then having these different distractions show up in my kind of purview. I used to take it always as a message from the universe that it's like, not yet. You can't do this. There's all this hard stuff, which means this goal that you're working towards is not what you're supposed to be doing at all. You need to just stay back here.
Yeah.
And then at some point in time, it started to shift to like, are you willing to go through all of these challenges to get to this? Like, can you stay so focused on what your vision is that nothing is going to take you away from that, right? So to put it in kind of layman's terms, if I am, say, wanting to drive 100 kilometers down the road, am I going to take every stoplight that I hit as being a reason why I'm not allowed to reach that 100 kilometers? Or do I just see it as a part of the path? If someone cuts me off, is that because the universe is saying you can't go there? No. Do you know what I mean? Like, it's what story am I telling myself as I start to work towards that vision? Because I feel a lot of us, will go, well, I tried to implement boundaries, and then all these people were so mad at me that I implemented boundaries, so I just can't have any. And I said, well, that's not actually the truth. You got uncomfortable because people got mad at you because you were serving yourself and what you needed out of life. Just because other people don't agree with it doesn't mean you have to stop now. And so I think sometimes those distractions, I don't want to call them tests or challenges from the universe, because I don't really feel like it's a grading system that we're under, but it is really asking ourselves or becoming more aware in ourselves of how much am I willing to go through to get to that thing.
Yeah. And I very much used to believe the same, that, it was a test. This is just a test. If I make it through this, then it's meant to be this way. And it's like, no, that's, you know. And now more I look at it and go, it's just, it's not a test, but how strong is your faith, right? How
Yes.
strong is your belief that this is your purpose?
Yes.
And if that faith is there, it doesn't matter what the distraction is, it's going to be there. This can come up, all of this stuff can come up, but that flat line is going to maintain. It's going to stay there no matter what is going on all over the place.
Yeah. And I honestly think that's kind of the antidote to distraction, is to have that conviction, right? Where it's like, this is my focus. This is where I'm going to, and it does not matter what is showing up. This is still the direction that I'm going in, still what my vision is. And it's hard because I think we want these instant results, right? We want to see that by me not getting distracted by this one thing, or me, you know, taking this action on this one day, now I should see a result that tells me, hey, you're doing okay. But that to me is also a very childlike response, a very ego-like response, where the child does the good thing and the parent rewards the child for doing the good thing. And I think in that, a lot of times we get frustrated, you know, because you meditate for 2 days and your entire life doesn't change.
Yeah.
Or you meditate for a year and still your entire life doesn't change. And I think sometimes we start to work towards these visions, or, you know, adopting in different spiritual practices and stuff with an idea that there's going to be some sort of prize, or that life is just going to suddenly not have any pain or suffering in it because we're doing the good work. And to me, it's like life keeps showing up the way, whatever way life is going to show up. But it's me that needs to actually be the one who's maintaining peace despite how life is showing up.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, and it is very much just a shift in that perspective, right? It is very much just changing your focus. And I think the distractions that come up, I do think there is purpose in those distractions. And I don't think it is kind of to entertain the ego. It's kind of to offer a different glimpse into different things. But overall, I think, again, like, if you are convicted in that faith, nothing is going to, you know, get you.
Well, and to me, it's almost, as you were saying that, if I was to be completely convicted, then would I even call anything a distraction?
Fair enough.
Right? Would I even feel the pull to go over here, or, you know, squirrel, you know, and run over there? Or would I just continue to maintain that vision? Yeah. This is what I'm going towards, no matter what.
Yeah. I mean, here's the thing. Like, I know we say this a lot about, it's a practice, right?
Absolutely.
And and we continue to practice, and here's some things that we notice about, we struggle with, is getting distracted.
Yeah.
Right? So, you know, I wonder, like, how many people do get distracted? I think everybody, but, and how that looks for them.
Yeah.
You know, I do think that people do, like you were saying, you spend X amount of time doing one thing, and if this doesn't work, you give up on it. And I don't necessarily, I think you have to hold that, right?
Yeah.
Instead of just abandoning that, whatever practice you're doing, take a break from it. Or do it a little bit less, but still keep that peace alive.
Yeah.
And continue you're on your path.
Yeah. I always find it very curious, I guess, when there is those kind of breakdowns in, say, like meditation, and going, well, meditation does not work for me. Thinking positively does not work for me. And it's like, these things have been scientifically proven to help improve your inner life, to help keep you on a more positive track or whatever. So when people are telling me this does not work for me, it does get me very curious as to why it doesn't work for certain people, And is that the truth, or wasn't there an expectation that was too high, or like some sort of distortion that was happening that made them believe it does not work? Because I've seen proof over and over and over again that these things do work for myself.
Yeah.
But again, it hasn't been instant results, right? And it hasn't stopped life from happening the way that life happens, and quote unquote bad things will show up, and horrible things still happen, and arguments might still happen, and all of this sort of stuff. But what I've noticed is myself shifting, right? Not the external, it's myself that's shifting. And I could say it's because of the meditation, it's because of the affirmations, it's because of the self-talk, it's because I'm reflecting on myself and challenging myself and whatnot. And so, yeah, it doesn't make everything easy peasy, but it's still working.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, and I mentioned my kind of struggle or whatever with meditation. It's not really a struggle, but I know that I've heard that from other people where I can't meditate because I can't settle my mind.
Well, and see,
or
I think
can't, they have an idea of, oh, this is what it's supposed to look like, and this is what the result should be.
Yeah.
And there's a lot of times now where this happened yesterday, where it's like I'm not practicing meditation at that point, but I'm in a very meditative state, where it's like, the lights are on, but this is kind of somewhere else.
Yeah. I found a few years ago, and I don't remember what teacher it was, but for the longest time with meditation, I was trying to force inner peace to happen in meditation, and then getting annoyed with myself when thoughts would come in, because it's like, you're not supposed to be thinking any thoughts right now, so whatever. And then I don't remember what teacher it was. I do want to say Kyle Cease, but I'm not 100% sure, where it's like you're just sitting there and thoughts arise, but you're not actually becoming attached to the thoughts. So you're not fighting the fact that the thoughts are there. You're not grabbing hold of the thought and thinking it all the way through and creating an entire story around it. You're just like, oh, interesting, that's coming up, let it go. And then another thought comes in, oh, interesting, let it go.
Yeah.
And allow that to keep happening until it eventually becomes quiet. And I remember the very first time that I was able to experience that kind of state of inner peace, I was told to meditate for an hour a day. And so I was practicing that, and they said there's somewhere around 45 minutes that you reach this sweet spot. And I was like, okay. So I had a timer on my phone, and I was practicing, but there is, when you first start, 5 minutes feels like an hour.
Yeah.
Do you know what I mean?
Yep.
And eventually I was able to go for a full hour, but sometimes I would just fall asleep, right? Because your mind doesn't have any distractions, so it's like, I'm just going to go to sleep now. But there was the very first time that I was able to experience, I'm going to call it like an expansiveness within myself, and it was like my entire body was vibrating, and I could feel the nothingness of everything that was nothing at that point in time. But then I got so excited that I felt the nothingness that I stepped out of the nothingness. And so it was like, okay, this really is a practice that I need to just keep doing every single day. And now when I'm able to get into that I call it the vibrating state. I don't know what the actual scientific term for it is, but to stay in that as long as possible is such a sweet spot.
Yeah. And it's to hold that, right?
Yeah.
Yeah, and I heard it a little differently, and I can't remember where I heard it, but it was more of like, so when you're trying to meditate, and I think using meditation is good in this sense, because we're talking about distractions, and this is something you're focused on, but you could put this to anything, right? Like if you're working on something, whatever. But meditation is like, it's pretty focused or not focused.
Yeah.
But the way I put it, or heard it was, or whatever, was pretend you're watching a film. And you have all these images that are coming in, let it go, coming in, let it go, coming in, let it go. But try to slow that down, and then try to slow it down again. And keep trying to slow down that film that's coming through and these visions that are coming through until it stops.
Okay.
And then you're kind of in that state, that alpha state or whatever.
Yeah.
And yeah, you get that buzzy effect and whatnot.
Okay.
But again, it's so you have these distractions that are rolling through, but try to slow that down.
Yeah.
And you can take that from meditation into whatever you're being distracted on a daily basis, and just try to slow those down.
Yeah, I think you bring up a good thought. Thought as well. That I mean, at first I was talking about these external distractions, things coming into your field. That's like, this is taking me away from the purpose. But how often are most of our distractions actually just in our mind? Mm-hmm. Right? Do you remember the kids' book, If You Give a Mouse a Cookie?
Yeah.
And then it's like they go on this entire trail and no one ever gets a cookie because you have to go on, you got to get milk, you got to go to the store, and then you got to remember this and this and this. And I know I've had that pattern so often where it's like, oh, I'm going to write a book. Oh, but first let me do this and then do this and then do this. And I got to look up this. Like, do you know what I mean? There's 100,000 different distractions that can happen. And that's where I go back to that fear of actually reaching whatever that goal is that you have for yourself, and allowing your own mind to distract you from what that is. And it's like, oh no, I absolutely actually have to get the dishes done. I've never felt more compelled to get the dishes done than in this moment now. And it's like, just go sit and write your bloody book, you know?
Yeah, and I think, along with meditation, and I know we had talked a little bit about this, was, mindfulness is kind of the same thing.
Yeah.
Right? Where you're focusing, instead of it being meditation where you're closing your eyes, you're doing something, whatever that task is, doing the dishes, washing your hands, but you're really focusing on everything that you're doing.
Yeah.
Right? Like you've done it, you're doing it for the very first time, and it's very intentional, and you're paying attention to the soap, your hands, every touch, every little texture.
Yeah.
And I think that's another way to practice removing the distractions, is to just have that focus on one thing, and then transition that to whatever, if it's writing a book or whatever you're doing.
Yeah. Yeah. I noticed that when I was doing the macrame and the string art. It was such a beautiful meditative practice without realizing it was going to be a meditative practice. But there was something about feeling like the string or the macrame in my hands, and like just repeating the same pattern, the same sequence. It does take you into that different state within your own mind where it's like an hour and a half can pass by and it feels like it's been 5 minutes, but you're just so in it.
Yeah, and I think, I noticed this, I'm pretty sure it was at work. It's just, when you're doing any like repetitive tasks, you can very easily get into that meditative type state where it's just like, if you're doing something that's just, it's easy, it's whatever, and you're just repeat, but use that time to go elsewhere or do else, focus on the other things, because you know how to do this, or it's very repetitive.
I always find it interesting when you do that when you're driving, where you can get from one destination to another destination but have no recollection of how you got there. And I mean, it is a little bit terrifying because you are driving on an autopilot. And somehow you've stopped for all the brake lights in front of you, you've stopped for all of the red lights in front of you, you've made whatever turns you needed to make, but it is kind of a weird place to be in. Yeah.
And here we are getting distracted thinking about this, right?
Yeah.
Because we're both looking at each other going, that time that just kind of seems to disappear. But and there's another piece to the distractions, because there always is, because it's a distraction. But when we talk about purpose and people living their purpose, and it is very easy to get sucked away from. So let me put this in a different way. It's easy to get sucked away from your purpose, but that might be part of your purpose. So, and I struggle with, yes, it's a distraction, but it's a distraction with the end goal or end purpose in mind to add to what that purpose is.
Well, and I would kind of add into that, and this is just my own belief, so take it if it resonates and chuck it if it doesn't. But if it's a part of your purpose, then it won't feel like a distraction, right? So if I've got this vision, this goal that I'm working towards, and something comes into my purview that it takes me away, quote unquote, from this, in some way it's adding into, and we've experienced this time and time again, where you take the phone call even though you're in the middle of work or whatever, and it becomes like, wow, that was a very profound phone call, I needed to absolutely have that. Or there's a conversation or whatever it might be, but you can almost see how it feeds into the purpose, where there's other things where it's like, I don't even know why I got so invested in that, right? And it could be a news story, it could be something that's not connected to you at all, but we can lose ourselves and lose our sovereignty in some of these distractions, right? Or lose our sense of self, or lose our sense of identity, which isn't necessarily a horrible thing to lose your identity, but if it takes me away from what that vision is, and I've had it happen time and time again, but it does feel like that kind of squirrel energy where I'm going, this is what I'm focused on, and then I divert over to here and I forget, oh, you're right, I was supposed to be working on this, right? So with me right now, when I continue to be in this state of, let me find the edges of my love, let me embody more of my love, anything that's taking me out of that is a distraction from this, right? And sometimes it's a reminder of, come back to this. Sometimes it's an awareness of, right, I still have to choose love, and just keep focusing on that. But if it takes me out of that completely, and perhaps actually it is just me, I'm going, maybe that is still part of the purpose. I understand what you're saying now, because I'm like, yeah, maybe I need to be reminded how easily I can be pulled out of what my intention is on, like, if I'm trying to be love, and then I, go down the road of like anger and revenge or whatever, I need to be reminded, actually, no, it's still love.
Yeah. And here's another thing, and I was talking to a friend at work about distractions. And, we do have a choice.
Yes.
Right? You can be anywhere. You can be anywhere and stay focused. You have that choice to be distracted. Sometimes not, I get that, but we have a choice whether, this is going to affect this or whatever.
Yeah.
You could say, no, you know what? I am going to write this book. Nothing's going to distract me.
Yeah.
But you have to stay laser focused on that book.
Yeah.
And this work kind of goes back to why I use meditation, because in meditation, you're trying to focus on nothing, right? You're trying to focus on slowing down the brain and this, that, and whatever task you're doing now, that's your focus. It's not nothing, it's this, and we can choose to stop.
Yeah.
We can choose to have these other things affect us or not.
Yeah.
And we can blame everybody else. Oh, but this, this happened and this pulled me away I had to go and get groceries, or I had to go and do the dishes, so I couldn't write this book, or I couldn't.
Yeah.
But that's our choice. That's not, these things are just these things. All these things are just happening. We have to make that conscious choice to stay that focused.
Exactly. And I think for a lot of us, we experience so much overstimulation, and we don't even recognize that we're overly stimulated.
Yeah.
Right? There's so much information coming to us from social media, so much information on the news, so much stuff that's happening in the world, every conversation that we have, like, we're taking in so much all of the time. And I think a lot of us have actually become addicted to that overstimulation. And I only say that because when I'm allowing myself to be in a very peaceful kind of state, and as I started to detach myself from whatever dramas were showing up and detach from the news and social media and stuff, then my brain starts telling me, you are too bored. right? Like, this is not a good state.
Yeah.
And I would fight that feeling of boredom and then want to go back into these distractions to try and juice up this kind of feeling of, like, it's so silly because it is a feeling of, and yet we've become addicted to it. That to sit and just say on your back deck with no phone, with no music, with no conversation, and you're just sitting, right? And there was a part of me that was fighting that, going, you need to be doing something. You need to be taking something, like, make use of your time.
Yeah.
Where it's also fighting that distraction that tells me I need to fill every second of every day with something, and giving my brain just an opportunity to relax without sleeping, to be unstimulated or understimulated, because it's in that process that your brain can actually start to give you ideas and thoughts and whatnot that are supportive for that future vision that you're trying to hold for yourself.
Yeah, you're absolutely right. Like, there is so many external and internal distractions. That it is a challenge, but or a practice, however you want to look at it. But it goes back to the individual and what that piece, whatever you're focusing on, how important is that to your purpose? Can you focus on this, whatever, and remove all those distractions? Again, we have the choice. I'm not saying it's an easy choice, because again, there's plenty of things that are going on, but we still have a choice to do it or not. So.
Well, and isn't that just so empowering, right? To recognize that we do have a choice. And I know sometimes we argue with, well, I don't have a choice because this is just what's happening. And it's like, okay, so you've made your choice, actually, because you're allowing yourself to go down this path where this is happening and you're reacting and all of this sort of stuff. But it still is a choice. And to me, I'm like, oh, excellent. So I know I've been choosing this, which means I can also just choose this. And it might be a little bit more difficult right now because I've never chosen this before. But awesome. I'm going to start practicing making this choice. It's so interesting, too, because just as we're talking and we talk about distraction, which has the act in it, right? And then reaction also has that act in it. And think of like actors and this sort of thing. And it's like we are in this act of our lives, right? And even action, the word action, to move towards your purpose and your goal and stuff, you have to take action, right? There's something with the word act there that needs to be explored more.
Yeah, it's the doing, right? It is the doing of, it's either revisiting or you're doing.
Yeah, it's like to be the one to take the action. You're not reacting, which means to do it over again or do the same thing.
Or whatever, yeah.
And then distraction, to me, again, it does feel more like it's a takeaway action kind of experience instead of taking action towards what you actually want.
Yeah, I always take it as, it's if you're on that path, that distraction it's stopping you from being on that path. Yeah. Maybe not stopping, it's diverting you so you're taking the long road instead of the shortcut or the straight and narrow, however you want to look at it.
Yeah. And I question too if everybody understands what their purpose is, right? Like, it can be really hard to move towards something if you don't really know what it is that you're moving towards. And I think sometimes even with the idea of purpose, we think our purpose has to be this big, major thing. Yeah. And sometimes it's like your purpose is actually to just be at peace with everything that comes up. So then how do you take action towards being at peace with everything that comes up? And it doesn't look like this big grandiose life that's been lived. And yet that's just that's exactly what the grandiose life is, right? You've reached your purpose. And so I think if we don't have an idea, it's kind of like not having a map and being dropped in a completely foreign country and not knowing where to go, and you just start wandering aimlessly, right? Which in itself is a distraction, right? And I know at one point in time in my life, I thought my purpose was this. And so I'd work towards this and I'd reach that thing and then go, okay, this isn't it. You know, this is a part of it, but it's a small piece of what I now know. And then it's like, almost like it just keeps expanding, right? As I reach each different checkpoint that I've wanted to reach. And even now, after like, what is it? I don't know, a really long time, almost 20 years now, of being devoted to a spiritual calling and a spiritual path and all of that, I can still see there's still more that's unfolding that I could not see back then because there was so much life that hadn't been experienced yet. And yet the purpose back then was to just find the spiritual calling. And it's like that purpose still lives on within me. But that spiritual calling, the idea of it, I used to think it was just like it's crystals and having a pendulum and maybe having my cards read or whatever. And now it's like this, it's just a way of life at this point in time, and it's continuously unfolding, continuously expanding.
Yeah. And I don't really see or look at life as you have a purpose.
Okay.
Everybody's got purpose, but hear me out.
I'm listening.
Like, I've said this before, like, we're here to experience, right? And to me, that is the purpose, is here to experience all of the things that life has to offer. But experience them with that joy of, like, being a kid for the first, experience everything for the first time as best you can. And that in itself takes focus to go, okay, yeah, I've done the dishes 100 times. And you kind of shut your brain off and go into this meditative state. But if we can change that mindset to experience things the first time every time, or just to look at every experience and maybe a little bit of a different perspective,
to stay in that curiosity of each experience. I do agree with that. I'm like, yes, this and this.
Well, and the way it sounds like, well, okay, but where's your focus in life? Where are you going? What is the dream? What is the... And it's like, whatever the experience needs to be. Which sounds really kind of terrible because everybody wants to have, here's the end of this. Or here's, this is my goal. I want to be this or I want to be that. And it's like, just wanting to experience whatever life has to offer opens up any possibilities. You're not like pigeonhole yourself into this existence of I have to be a partner, father, husband, whatever. You're not putting any labels on it. You're just living it the way it comes to you. And it sounds like you're not taking any action, but you are, based off of whatever that experience is.
I mean, I do believe that we all have our own, I'm going to call it our own perfect function within us, right? That's based on the DNA structure that we received when we were coming in, the past life soul structure that we had prior to coming in, whatever the soul's journey is supposed to be. I feel like this all creates like a divine blueprint within us that, yes, every experience that you have is like an unfolding of I am just here and I'm just experiencing life. But also, just as if I was to plant a tulip bulb, the tulip bulb is always going to naturally become a tulip, right? And it doesn't matter if the tulip is like, I really want to be a rose this time, it's still just going to become a tulip. And it's perfect because it's become a tulip. Which to me is like what you're saying, in that you're going to become exactly what you're meant to become by just allowing this natural unfolding. And for myself, I also try to have a vision of what is it I'm supposed to become, right? Which again, it's almost, if I can imagine like a tulip bulb, at first it's like in the ground, it's in the dark and whatever, and it has to break apart and then a shoot comes out of it, right? And so that shoot, I might go, oh, that shoot, that's what my purpose is right now. I need to become that shoot. And then it's like, oh, actually I have to become a stem. And now I start working on becoming a stem. And then I have to grow these leaves and I've got a bulb and now I'm going to flower and, do you know what I mean? I'm going to feed the bees and whatever, and then I'm going to die. And that's like this entire cycle. And I don't know necessarily that the bulb realizes eventually it's just going to be a beautiful flower, that the bees, whatever, but it's just going, right now I just need to fall apart. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
And so it's fulfilling its purpose, but it does have like that first thought of, this is what I need to do now. If that makes sense.
It does, yes.
I know we vary a little bit on the idea of purpose and whatnot, because you're very much go with the flow.
Yeah.
And I'm very much like have a vision and start working towards it, whatever that looks like, while also going with the flow.
Yeah.
So it is an interesting duality that we get to experience together.
It's all like freedom of choice, and I'm like, there really is no choice. This is how it is going to be.
Yeah.
And that is kind of a little bit where we differ in our opinion on that, and that's fine.
Well, I'm just a believer in that I am a creator of my life, right?
Yep.
And also that it's already been created for me. And so when I'm envisioning what I'm moving towards, to me, it's because I've already created it, or it's already been created for me. Therefore, I have no choice but to work towards this thing. And then I'm asking myself, what actions do I need to take? Right?
Okay, so very similar, because I'm very much in that same mindset where there is this plan.
Yeah.
There is this thing.
You're in it from the moment.
Experiencing the plan.
Yeah.
And I trust the plan. I have faith that the plan is for the greatest experience.
Yeah.
That needs to happen.
Yeah, where I'm like, I try and see as far into the plan as possible, and then go, how can I
support
help?
That plan?
Yeah. It's worked well for me, except for when I've allowed myself to get distracted by things. When the distractions come up, and I really start to follow those distractions and believe them to be more true than what the plan is, for sure.
Yeah, and that is got to be difficult, like when you are in that mode where you almost, that diversion almost starts to become permanent, right?
Well, exactly, which is why I get so big on like holding the vision. It's like an archer, right?
Yeah.
And like shooting the arrow to that bullseye and going, I am just gonna, almost like have a string there so that I can keep myself on target.
This to go,
but not force. I just need to keep my vision pinpointed on what it is I'm working towards. And I can only say that from all of the times that I have allowed myself to get distracted, or when I've not had a vision of what the next goal is. I was just talking to you about this the other day, where it's like, for the longest time, the big goal was about my book, like get the book done.
Yeah.
And now I'm in this kind of waiting period while Amazon does whatever the heck Amazon has to do to settle the price. And now I'm kind of in this in-between spot of waiting for that, and then feeling like I'm a little bit lost because I can't get to that next step of the goal. And then I was like going, well, really, what was I envisioning after the book was done? What was that next step? And so I've been sitting with that kind of energy this week going, okay, find a new vision.
So you said something there that I do want to talk about, is that time in between.
Yeah.
And I know it's uncomfortable.
Yeah.
Like I've experienced that as well, and it's like I used to look, and I've talked to you about this. I used to look for the next thing, or like try to search out, or what does this mean, or what does that mean, and you start to, I wouldn't say spiral, but you're kind of grasping at straws, and you start to get a little panicky inside, where it's like, well, maybe this isn't what I should be doing, or what am I doing, or you start questioning a lot. And as of late, I think more so now, what I'm doing is just, okay, no, this whatever this is uncomfortable. I need to be in this uncomfortable space, and I need to wait.
Yeah.
And still take action, still do the things that need to be done and all that kind of stuff, but you don't need to do anything other than that. This will pass. This time will pass, and because that has been the experience.
Yeah.
But this is needed.
Yeah.
But it's not very comfortable.
It's not very comfortable. Like it does feel like life has pressed a pause button.
Yeah.
And went, okay, just wait, which I'm going, okay, I'm waiting. And then in that waiting, going, okay, and what is that next step for me? What is that going to look like? So if I have to pause right now, at least in the pause, I can start daydreaming or opening myself to what is next. Because if I look at, say, the past 6 years of our lives, I could see every single goalpost that I kind of created for myself, and I've reached each thing, but it's like every time I reach the thing, then there's that period of, okay, and now what? And it's just asking myself, okay, what is the next vision? You know, what is the next kind of piece of this puzzle of reaching your purpose, while also recognizing this is a pause and that's okay.
Yeah.
You know, I'm not in resistance of the pause. I'm just going, okay, and what is the thing going to be after this?
Yeah.
So. Yeah,
and like I was saying, I still do that to a certain degree, but I remember there was a time where it was, you know, I'd get very anxious because of that pause, where it's you know, you start looking for what you could start doing a bunch of things that are not just because you're doing things.
Yes.
Right? So
which
you're
is just
filling
another
that
distraction.
You're filling that uncomfortableness with distractions because it's uncomfortable.
Yeah.
And instead of just sitting with it and going, okay, whatever is next will present itself to me.
Yeah.
Now, I don't need to chase it.
Yeah.
I will attract it.
Yeah.
And it is, again, it's uncomfortable, but I'd rather attract things to me than chase them.
Absolutely. Absolutely. Which to me, in my pondering of what is next, what is the next vision and stuff, that is part of that attraction energy of not, I'm going to force anything or I'm going to chase anything. It's just allow me to be curious as to what is the next vision. And then in that, answers do start to fall in. And it's funny because a lot of the answers I'm getting right now, it's like, but you can't do that until after this pause. So it's like, just be in the pause, but also realize and recognize there's more coming in after that.
Yeah, and it kind of goes back to, you know, the discussion we had about putting things on the shelf, right? It's like, and I just had this vision of you're having these ideas of, okay, there's this, as not trying to force them, but waiting for them. You can see them, and you're lining them all up, and you're just waiting for them to come to you.
Yeah.
Right? Like, okay, this is a possibility, this is a possibility, this is a possibility. I'm in this pause, but this will start coming my way, or this will start coming my way.
Yeah.
And then I'll know that's where I'm putting my energy next.
Yeah. Yeah. Well, and part of this whole pause process for me, it's interesting, and perhaps you've experienced this in your own pause moments, but it's interesting because I can feel almost like the container of who I am, or the foundation of who I am, it's getting stronger, because I can feel, you know, the old fears of the uncomfortability and stuff that comes up, and bring voice to that, have the awareness around the fear to go, yeah, this is the fear right now.
Yeah.
I can observe it, and also I'm growing beyond it. So I can see that there's still things that are being integrated and built within me. I'm going through a refinement. And then with the things that are on the shelf, I can see how the refining that's happening right now is going to help feed those possibilities that are currently on the shelf, that are just waiting for me. So I do believe there's purpose in this kind of in-between state.
Oh yeah,
right?
Absolutely.
But in the past, in the in-between state, it's where I chose a lot of distraction, right? Because it was like, oh, this is too uncomfortable. I don't like this. And so I was distracting myself by watching too much TV or, numbing out in a myriad of ways and whatever, instead of really getting curious about, okay, what is coming up for me in this state? Yeah, and using it as an opportunity to refine myself.
Yeah, and that's the key thing is you have, even in that in-between state, you have a choice.
Yeah.
Right? Like I said about the anxiety piece, it's like we're in such a state or a world where it's do, and the next, and, you scroll and this, that, and you're constantly inundated with something.
Yeah.
That pause state does cause that anxiety, but you have the choice to buy into that and go, okay, I don't have to do anything.
Yeah.
The best thing I can do here is absolutely nothing. And just still, again, have the ideas, have thoughts, whatever, but let them just sit there on the shelf and wait.
Yeah.
Wait it out, right? And be in that uncomfortableness, because it is going to produce something, right?
Yeah. Well, and I always feel too, like, it's almost like, if you can imagine, we're climbing like just a set of stair steps in our lives. And so we've just, like, for myself right now, I'm on a landing and I'm catching my breath from all of the hard work that I just put in.
Yeah.
And yes, I could take the next step, but actually right now I just need to rest.
Yeah.
And that's okay. Don't force yourself to have to keep going. But of course there is like that ego mind piece. It's like, if you rest for too long, you're just going to give up and you have to keep going. Look at all these people surpassing you and blah, 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 blah. But you're going to get there exactly when you're meant to get there.
Yeah. And I always use the Enigulus curve as an analogy for that, right? And I know we've talked about that, where it's like, okay, you're at the top of the mountain, now you're at the bottom and you're sitting down here. Well, how do it takes so much energy to start going back up, but you need this down here just as much as you need those peaks. You need the valleys and you need the journey. You need that path up to the top just as much as you need the path down.
Yeah.
So, yes, lots to get distracted by, and it is a practice. It is a constant, but
Yeah. And I just want to point out too, as we're kind of ending up the conversation, that every result that you could ever get in life comes as a result of staying focused, right? And everybody gets distracted from time to time, but the more you can focus on what is your actual goal, what is that thing that you're working towards for yourself, for your state of mind, for your state of your heart or whatever, stay focused on that. And don't allow the anger that you were built on, or the sadness you were built on, or the fears that you were built on to be the thing that stops you from going for what it is that your heart wants or that your soul's calling you towards or whatever. Because often that kind of foundational piece, and most of us have been grown up on a foundation of fear, anger, anxiety, grief, sadness, lack of belief in the self, lack of relationships. It's like, it's the same for all of humanity. So we're not special in that. But if we allow ourselves to just keep focusing on that instead of what it is we actually want for ourselves, we can distract ourselves so much with that kind of foundational core beliefs and stuff, which distract us from what our soul's divine purpose truly is.
Yeah, and I think the thing I would remind everyone is that we do have a choice. It's not everything out there that is the distraction. It is really us that are getting distracted.
Yeah, absolutely.
And because we do lose focus on that, is that, it's easy to go, well, this happened and this happened, but you're allowing that. You're allowing that to distract you.
And that's where I say stay focused on that soul calling.
It's not an everybody else problem, it's a you problem.
Yeah.
And so you need to focus on you.
Yeah.
And staying in that, whatever that is for you.
Yeah, exactly. Because it's so easy to just go over here and
Yeah.
go, that's the problem.
Yeah.
And that's why I can't.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And then that limits you to whatever.
Yeah. And the problem is as soon as you say that, you're right. Do you know what I mean? Like, as soon as you affirm to yourself, I can't because they don't believe in me. Yes, you're absolutely right. Because you've bought into this falsity that you can't because of them.
Yeah.
And now you believe it, so now you're not, so now you can't.
Yeah.
You know, and the moment that you choose to go, they don't believe in me and I'm going to do this anyways.
I believe in me.
Yeah.
And I'm going to continue on.
Yeah. And the I believe in me, that's actually the most powerful source that there is.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah. So, yeah. Thanks to everyone for joining us again on the Sacred Exchange. We do, as always, look forward to hearing from you. What things in your life distract you? What is your goal? What is your vision? And how are you working towards that?
Don't forget to like, subscribe, comment.
And we'll be back here again next week on the Sacred Exchange. Have a great day, everyone.
Take care, folks.